Hi everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Asselin and this is my channel and this is my fiance. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A together, just kind of talking about everything leading up to us getting engaged and answering like relationship type of questions. We did a few Q&As in the past because
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. If I know a lot of y'all have been here a long time and you've been here through the many haircuts of Griffin, and you know we've done Q&As way back in the day, and it's so funny to go back and like watch those because we're just like so much more older and mature. And like
the last one we did, I think I had long hair.
You had long hair and it was like our junior year of college, I think.
Yeah, which was like 3 years ago.
I figured that it would be fun to bring this back now that we are engaged. And I actually did the day that we got engaged. I took a few clips, so I'm gonna go ahead and insert those here so you can see them. And also, just as a side note, if you want to hear about how the engagement happened, like what happened and that kind of thing, like the step-by-step of that, from just my perspective, I did a podcast episode answering like all of those types of questions and answered like if I was surprised or not, and like all of those kind of first thought questions that I feel like most people have when you see someone get engaged. I answered all of those on my podcast, which is In Bloom Podcast. It's available everywhere, so go check that out if you want to hear all that. But this is going to be more a lot from his perspective and also forward looking in terms of like the wedding, the engagement, that kind of thing, whereas the podcast was more so of just like the day, going over the day of when everything happened. Engaged! Oh my gosh. He did so good, you guys. Yeah, I had a feeling it was coming. Actually, I kind of knew it was happening today, but I didn't know like the details. I also didn't know my parents were gonna be here surprising me, so that was really sweet. That's like what triggered like the tears to like really come out. Like I was like starting to cry when he like got down on a knee and was talking to me, but then like I was like, oh, I gotta hold him in because of my makeup and everything. And then when I saw my parents like come out, I was like losing it. But yeah, we're engaged.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for submitting questions. We have a ton and y'all really delivered the questions. So
I did well.
Yeah, we will. He looked at them this morning and I've kind of been looking at them the past few days. So we're just gonna go ahead and start answering them. And yeah, be sure to subscribe if you're not already. If you have any like ideas for like wedding content or anything, like leave them below because I'm so excited to like start getting that kind of content and everything. So let's go ahead and get started. Also, hope y'all enjoy the lake background. I wanted a Yule log. We do have a candle burning, but I wanted a Yule log in typical YouTuber fashion, but Griffin was like, why not a lake? So we're doing a lake.
Be different, you know? Virgin
River vibes. So it was really unnatural being on the right side of you because I'm always on the left.
Do you want to be on the left?
I think we should switch. Switcheroo. Let's do the first one, since this is kind of like an us related question. How far into your relationship did you talk about getting married? I think it was probably like,
I think it was within the last like
year or two.
Yeah, I think the 2 years.
Last 2 years, yeah. We will have been together at October 27th for...
It's 23rd. SMH.
Wait, is it really?
It's the 23rd.
Oh, it's 2017.
She literally has it on one of her rings.
It's the 2017. That's what threw me off. October 23rd, it's 2017. I'm sorry. My brain's fried right now. But October 23rd, it'll be 5 years of dating. But I'd say within the last 2 years, we started really seriously talking about like, this will be a thing in the future. And I mentioned on the podcast how we discussed it. And I mentioned how I'm not the type of girl that was like, I want to be married at this age. I want to be engaged at this age. I'm very easygoing in terms of that. I kind of just told him, absolutely not getting engaged while we're both still in school. Like I wanted it to be when we had already started our adult lives together, just so we could really like process the transition in and of itself, because I knew it would be such a big change for both of us. I wanted us to really have time to get used to that before we jumped into oh, that just scared, we love ads.
Do we want to put it on the 5 years?
We just really wanted to be able to process like one change at a time, I guess you could say. A lot of the questions were like, did I have any idea what was happening and that kind of thing. So if you want those questions, just go listen to the podcast, which I know is probably annoying, but I don't want to like do the same stuff on 2 separate platforms. Okay, so Griffin, how long did you have the ring before proposing?
I got it probably, I think it was 3 months ago, 3.5 months ago.
Okay.
And I don't know, I kept it at my parents' house, obviously, so it was kind of easy to hide it from you. But.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you pick the ring? A lot of people were asking if we went together before. Did you look at like a Pinterest board I made? That kind of thing.
So how I picked the ring basically on when I went off the idea that when you looked at it with my mom, basically kind of just built a ring on like, I don't, James Allen.
Yeah. You can design a ring, and I talked about that in detail on the podcast, but.
And I kind of used that as just like an example, and I showed it to the people who kind of like helped me out at the store. But I definitely put a little bit more, I think I put a little bit more into it because Abby wanted something like really, really simple, like as the band. And I went with more of the diamonds like on each side.
Yeah. I'll show some close-up shots of it and everything, but yeah, and we didn't go together beforehand. I did go and get my finger sized in the winter.
I told you to do that because I was like, I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I kind of want to know what your ring size exactly.
See, and like so, right?
It's still a little big, but I don't know how. But
yeah, but I went and got my finger sized, so I knew that it was going to be happening in the next year, I would say, from that point, but I didn't really, my concept of time is really messed up, so I didn't realize how long it had been since I actually got my finger sized. So I didn't really pick up on it when it would be up until the week before, which, I mean, all those details are in the podcast, but it's
whatever.
I seriously, the day of, I wouldn't have changed a single thing. You just really like blew me away, and it was seriously the happiest day of my life. So I wouldn't change a single thing, even though I knew it was happening for a week. But it was kind of exciting because it made my week like really happy and exciting because I knew I was looking forward to that. And also it was fun to just sort of pretend I didn't know and pick up on all the things that like you were saying. And
I don't think I did.
Behavior.
I think I was being same old me.
You were a lot more, I don't know, you were just very, I could tell you were just in a great mood like all the time, and you were so nervous the like day before and the day of. I could tell like you were just on edge. So
I was not trying to be here.
Yeah, he kept trying like leaving. He's like, I'm going to my parents, and like just running off, and I was just like, okay, I know what you're doing, haha. But I liked playing it off. How far back did you plan all of this? So we know you got the ring 3 months before, but how far back did you plan?
Basically, there was it wasn't going to be this like that weekend.
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. Obviously, it all works around when you're able to like I talked to your dad. So, which was hard because the first time he, like for unforeseen circumstances, he couldn't be there when we were in Florida. But then whenever we were there, I don't know, when was that? That was the last.
In early August.
Early August, yeah. So whenever we were there, that's when I was able to speak with him about all of that.
And you want to tell them how that went?
Between the day I proposed and that day, they were like neck and neck, almost like as in like how nervous I was. Yeah, it was great. Because obviously, like your parents are very like caring and very nice and genuine. Yeah. But which I didn't tell your mom because everyone was like, if you tell Stephanie, she's definitely going to spill the beans somehow. I don't know. I think it's it's not, obviously she wouldn't like go out of her way to be like,
right.
Yeah. So, but after I was able to speak to your dad in August, I kind of planned everything out because, you know, Abby likes to be surprised. Like, we all know this. After I talked to her dad, then I kind of had an idea. Like, I wanted some of, like, her closest friends to be in town for it. So I reached out to them, and my mom is definitely the one who kind of like helped the most, is obviously because like I couldn't just go out of my way to go to a garden and stuff like that.
Right.
But so I would say it took me, it was like, I think like a month and a half to plan, like, because I already had that planned in my head, I'd say. So like that I was going to invite, like, because I wanted your friends, like some of your friends to be there.
Which is so special, yeah.
And so I'd say 3.5 months ago when I initially bought the ring, like I told like Logan about it and stuff like that, and I told Megan as well. So like they kind of already had like
heads up, so they knew to like buy plane tickets.
Yeah. So then whenever I started like talking to them, which then I chose Labor Day because it was a long weekend, so people wouldn't just fly in and then fly back out. So that's basically that.
It was really special because we got to spend like more than just the day with them. So it was really great, and all of that was a total surprise to me. I won't go into detail about it, but it was. I knew that the actual engagement was happening, but the after part of being surprised with all my family and friends, I had no idea about any of that. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw the video of that, but some of the pictures from the day of too, I have the ugliest crying face, but it's because I was fully allowing myself to just like feel those emotions. So like you could like really read it on my face. Like I was shocked, surprised, overwhelmed, happy.
I thought I was gonna pass out, so.
Yeah, but it's okay. You did a great job. Any times where you came close to ruining the surprise?
I don't think so. Like obviously Abby picked up on, I didn't see these, or like I didn't feel like I did these things, but she said like, which obviously I'm not going to think about it as much as she would, because I was probably trying to avoid the conversation when people would bring up like engagement, not necessarily like when me and Abby were going to get engaged, but just like in general.
Talk about weddings.
Yeah, and stuff like that. Yeah. Other than the like week before, like my mom took her to get her nails done, and then me basically changing the subject whenever one of our friends would bring something up about it.
Yeah, and there were like certain things, someone did ask like about certain things you did. I can't find the exact question about, but like how you hid it from me, like certain things you did. So I think of like the photographer, what you told me, how you changed his contact.
Oh yeah,
stuff,
so
like
I initially talked to our photographer whenever, because like I go home for lunch at my parents' house because they're right next to my office or whatever. But that's when I talked to the photographer, and I did change his name, which is really dumb because if
it's even more
yeah, you wouldn't have known who it was, but I changed it to the camera emoji.
Yeah.
Whatever. But that was the only day I talked to him, because after that I just told my mom to basically line everything up.
It was funny because a lot of my friends that did end up surprising me, they were like, you know, they were so careful about everyone having their locations turned off and all this stuff, but waiting to do it so I wouldn't get like skeptical about it. But it was so funny because I was like, I have not looked at any of your locations in probably 6 months. I don't think I've opened that app and so it was just funny because they thought that I would be looking for that stuff, but I really wasn't. Oh, do you know the details of my ring? Like
I know the size.
No, like
I can ask Kat. I need the paper, because like I didn't have it like with me, so but it has like all the details on it.
A lot of people were asking if it's a real diamond or lab grown.
I know that.
But so it's a real diamond, but it's 1.55 emerald cut, obviously. Gold band, I don't know, it's probably, I think standard's probably like what, 18 karat gold band. I don't know. I don't know a lot about rings.
No, it was, they didn't have the 18 karat, so I got the 14 karat gold.
Oh,
but like
I was just guessing. I don't know.
The price difference is like
it's nominal, really, yeah.
Yeah,
and then the band, has the little diamonds, and it's emerald cut, and the setting is just your typical like prong setting. So yeah, but then
actually that setting was basically, that was like the exact setting that you had on the James Allen ring.
Yes.
So I told him like that's how I wanted it. I wanted it, like I didn't want it to be,
the stones to be like unsafe almost.
Yeah.
Too high, like
I wanted to be safe.
Secure,
for sure,
yeah. Like it's definitely in there in the prongs, and then the clarity of it is so good, and it's like really colorless in my opinion, so I think you did really good. Like,
no, I think it was, I really want to get the details.
I know, you need to get the details because people will be running. Well, what I'll do is I'll put them on screen. You don't have to worry about it right now. Okay. When I'm editing, I'll put the details on screen because we just don't know, which is fine.
Like once I bought it, I gave it to my parents.
Right.
Are we getting more ads or just turn it off?
I'm about to turn off the link, but
yeah, no, so once after I bought it, I literally took it straight to my parents' house, and then I kept it there.
Yeah.
So for 3 months. After you buy it, you really just don't think about those things. Like you're just like, you have the ring, like nothing. Nothing else really matters. It's like obviously when you are buying it, you get to pick every detail and stuff like that.
And who went with you to pick it out? Who all went?
My mom and Grayson.
Okay, so
and Grayson has the same size
fingers.
Yeah, and hand really.
Yeah,
so I had it on her hand. And I was like, yeah,
having a sister, three sisters comes in handy.
Yeah, I was like, I like that.
You got options. But yeah, I'm not someone that's had their ring picked out their entire life. Within the last year, decided that not really within the last year, I've always known I liked emerald cuts, like from seeing them on Pinterest. But I had so many people tell me, like, go try on different cuts because sometimes when you think you like it and then you see it on your finger and you don't like it. I had a lot of people tell me that, and I actually never did that. I did go and see, like, an emerald stone when I got size because they were like, oh, well, do you know what kind of cut you're looking for? And I was like, I'm not really looking right now for a ring. I'm here to get size and leave. But I was, just to flatter them, I was like, oh, yeah, like, I think I want an emerald cut. And they showed me just the stone. I knew that in the last year that I liked an emerald cut, and all the other details that I thought of, like with the ring and everything, I definitely mentioned in the podcast. But
as in what?
Like how I had the etched band that I liked a lot, but that's really hard to get.
I tried.
And it's not a lot of the etched bands that I think are in the store are not the kind of etched band I like. They're like too much almost.
The way it's shaped, it's.
When did you know it was the right time to propose? A lot of people asked, like, when did we know each other was the one? Like, when did you just know it was like, okay, now we're ready to, like, do this? It's what, like, really signified that, like, first thought of, I want to get a ring. I
had been wanting to get you a ring for, like, since we were, like, back in college.
Right.
But
I was like,
obviously,
no.
Yeah.
Too soon.
But, I'd say, like, obviously I didn't want to because I didn't get the ring.
I guess seriously thinking, like, now I'm ready to take this next step. If you could pinpoint a time.
I'd say, like, definitely after I, like, started my own job and had my own money.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I wanted to get I wanted to get the ring for, like, a long time, but as soon as I started this my job in mid-January of this year, and then obviously that was the number one thing I was saving up for was the ring. I'd say after I started my job and I was able to actually start having my own, like, source of income and own money, and just being able to save up for that, that's probably when I basically knew that's, like, when I was going to buy the ring.
Yeah.
Like, after that.
And as far as, like, knowing, because we got a lot of questions of, like, when we knew each other was the one and stuff like that. I don't think there's a specific moment. Well, I mean, some people, maybe you have a specific moment. I think it's accumulation of time you spent together, the growth you experienced together, the life you spent together. And then you get to a point where you're just kind of like, I can feel this and see this forever. And I remember one point specifically for me where I do, not necessarily, it wasn't my, oh, he's the one moment, because I think I knew before then that, I think I knew that then, but in this moment was more of my moment of being like, I do want to get married, like, soon. And not I said soon in my head then, and I remember I told you this day, but it's 2 years later now since that happened. But, I just think that the timing of when we're doing this couldn't be better for us personally. But I know in December of 2020, we went to dinner for your sister's birthday. I remember we were at dinner, and something about being there that Christmas break, that was like my third Christmas break going to see his family, which I always went after Christmas for New Year's Eve up until we would go back to school. And this was during my year of grad school and him like finishing up school. So I like could feel the shift then of us, you know, moving into a new phase of life as the new year was starting. I remember getting home from the dinner and I don't know, I just had like a really great time with this family, and I just remember thinking like, I love your family, I love you, I love, you know, like this was, you know, we were going into a new year and I was just thinking forward and thinking ahead, and I just remember like looking at you and saying like, I can't wait to marry you one day. And that was kind of like my moment of like seriously thinking that. So I think that really attests to the first question of when did we start like really seriously thinking about it. I'd say like that was like the first time we had like really like verbally mentioned it to each other, because like obviously you kind of like talk about it lightheartedly when you're in a long-term relationship for the first year or two, but like you don't like really start seriously talking about it until it like becomes, I don't know, actually like a possibility and stuff. But like, and it wasn't like a possibility then, it was more so of like I knew it would be in the future, so I wanted to voice like, yes, this is something that we'd like to do.
Feeling when you're able to just be yourself, you don't really like care, like, because like I'm a goofy person,
goofy guy,
and like I really just like,
and I'm a goofy girl sometimes.
I just feel like I'm actually able to like be myself, being
authentically yourself, but also like being able to trust someone with everything, and like just how important and just how good it feels to be able to be yourself around someone, to trust someone, and for someone to know like all the good, bad, and the ugly and still choose to love you anyways. That's like a big thing for me. Like, you know literally everything about me and you still accept me as I am, like, and that means the world. So I think like little things like that too. I mean, I say little things, but really that's a big thing. Authenticity part is huge, especially as someone who's struggled with that their whole life. It means a lot to me to be able to be like fully authentic, and I know it does to you too.
No, I definitely agree.
Okay, what do you love most about each other?
I'd say probably just first, obviously, how genuine you are, and then like how much you care for helping people. Like I am the same in a way, but like sometimes Abby just goes like over the top, and like I will be straight up with her and I'll tell her, I'll be like, just say no.
Too much.
Yeah, I'm like, please.
You gotta set boundaries somewhere.
Yeah. But generally just like how loving you are, and obviously like everyone has their issues and you accept me for like my issues, and like everyone, like obviously I'm still working on like stuff.
Yeah,
but
same here. Yeah.
I just like how obviously back to authenticity, like just being able to do that and be authentic with you and be myself, continue growing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know if it's I have like several favorite things about you, but
you're great at cooking as well.
Okay, thank you. One thing about you that I feel like it's something that with you I've always seen, but I haven't really known how to articulate it. And like recently I was like, that's how you would say it, but it's how you make everyone feel seen. Like I have always observed that about you. You know, there is no one in a room that like you could not, you know, make feel valued and seen and loved. Like you always go out of your way to like make sure everyone feels included. And I mean, you've always been, I see you that way with your friend groups. I see you that way when we go out to bars, to like restaurants. Like you just, I mean, you really, there is no one that like cannot be a friend like for you. But really it goes further than that, because it's not necessarily, I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I just love how social you are. It's a lot deeper than that. Like you truly make everyone feel seen for who they are, and that is like such an admirable quality, I think, especially just for, you know, a significant other, to know that like you are someone who is always going to make someone feel like they are valued as they are right then and there, and for who they are, not for who they could be, who they were, like who they are right then and there in front of you. And I don't know, I just like value that a lot. There's a lot of things I struggle with, and Griffin he just provides a source of improving it, helping me improve it. I don't really know how to put it in the words, but say there's something I'm struggling with, he's the person who tells me that I need to respect myself. He's the person that tells me I need to set boundaries. He's the person that tells me, you know, all those things that I just have such a hard time doing on my own. He's the encourager for
tell you
doing
every
that.
day until something changes.
Yes, and that's the thing. And I love that because you're persistent and you won't let me just say like, no, like I just can't. Like you are persistent with, Abby, you have to set these boundaries, or Abby, you need to respect yourself
Probably
more.
what you should have said, just being persistent, because if I wasn't persistent,
we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
As a couple, engaged couple. But okay, so a lot of people are asking what is something unique or different you want to do at your wedding or non-traditional. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really thought that far in advance because I'm also just not someone that's had their wedding planned out in their head their entire life.
Well, and like obviously you've been busy, and I'd say you can't really, it's hard to plan a wedding by yourself. Not saying like I'm here for it, like to say like yes to like whatever you want.
I've gone back and forth in my head about the garter thing, doing that in front of my parents, just and like family. It just kind of like makes me feel kind of funny, but at the same time it's like tradition, but at the same time I'm just kind of like I don't know. One thing I've seen, which this is going to depend on the venue, which I want to do this if I can, but if I can't, it's no big deal. I've seen people set up the walk like for actually like walking in at your ceremony as everyone's facing like an aisle, like this way instead of facing this way, so they can watch as you walk.
Instead of having to turn around.
Yeah, but then it's like, but that only works if you don't really have that big of a wedding. Like because it's like people literally being like one line shoulder to shoulder, not like rows of it. Does that make sense?
I don't like that.
So yeah, it only works if you're literally only probably have 50 people.
I had all my thoughts or my brain power have been put on to the engagement and proposal.
Yeah.
So.
Were you nervous I'd say no?
Yes, you even though you know that they're not going to say no, you're just very nervous. Like I could barely, like I almost passed out. I could barely breathe. My voice was very shaky, which that's just unlike me.
Right. You're a generally confident man in your delivery of things, so I was, and it wasn't even like I didn't know what to say. It was just like I couldn't talk. Are you planning to take Griffin's last name? Yes, I am. I'm traditional medicine. If I had a PhD, I'd probably do like something hyphenated, but I don't have a PhD, so you don't have to worry about that.
That's why I kept telling you not to go back to school.
I had a really rough week at work like a month ago, and I almost like seriously enrolled in a PhD program. So
Where?
I was considering econ at U of H.
It's not terrible.
Yeah. You know what type of with a venue you want the wedding at, or the vibe? I really like places that have a good indoor-outdoor flow, so that you can have two separate places. Like, so, you know, after the ceremony, there's a separate place you can go to get drinks, like that kind of thing. But I really like the indoor-outdoor. I don't want something solely outdoors. In a perfect world, I would get married on the beach in the sand, but I would never, ever, ever put myself in a situation where the weather like could completely ruin the entire thing. And that would happen with the beach, and that would just be so stressful to deal with. But a lot of people ask if we do Texas or Florida, and I talked about that in detail on the podcast too, but it'll probably end up being Houston because Houston's just such a central place. And there's, with it being the fourth biggest city in the US, I mean, obviously there's way more venues available in Houston than there are in Panama City Beach, Florida. And everywhere, a lot of places in Panama City Beach and the surrounding area cost an arm and a leg, so.
Speaking of weather, I literally prayed every night that, because like a week out, I was looking on the weather app.
It's like 88% chance of rain.
It was like 98. Thunderstorms. There was the lightning thing on. Yeah. And I was like, just give me 30 minutes.
Just 30. And we got the 30 minutes.
Yeah, here 30 minutes. And I'm not superstitious. Like if it rained, like they would have still been great. Like
you were prepared. Like, you had a cute umbrella.
Yeah, a little wedding umbrella, the clear ones, which the pictures would still look great. But so thanks.
Yeah. Did you feel pressure to make it a cute engagement because it would be shared to like my following?
Not really.
Yeah.
It was just the fact that I kind of pictured in my head that that's kind of what Abby would just genuinely want. Like,
oh, that's sweet.
Like I picked. So like whenever I initially started looking at like places to propose, like I did it with my mom because. Like why not? It's a lot.
Why not get help?
Yeah, two heads work better than one.
Yeah.
And she knows some pretty cool places, and she helped me pick that. Like, I knew like I wanted to do it at a garden. It was just like, so the thing is it's just hard this time of year because like doing it in a garden, what you picture is flowers and stuff, but it's so hot outside. Everything's
dead.
Yeah, everything's dead. Yeah, basically. Make it like I just kind of wanted to make it how I would see that she would enjoy it and basically just appreciate it.
Yeah, which I think is good, and it's special because I mean it shows that you have my best interest at heart always, which is nice.
The number one thing because my mom was like, hey, the backup plan, if it rained, we were going to do it in front of the flower wall with everybody watching, which I don't think you would have liked because you said you didn't want to be in a crowd of people.
A lot of people asked, I guess, how long we want to be engaged and that kind of thing. And I kind of mentioned this in the podcast too, but definitely minimum of a year just because we're both busy people and we want time to like...
And it's hard to plan stuff.
To save money for it. I definitely don't want to like have this crazy expensive wedding and everything because I want to go like on a nice honeymoon, but I also just I see both sides of like how special it is to really have the mindset of you only want to do this once and you only do this once, so like why not make it as special as it can be. I see both sides of it, but I think that there's a line to draw with like going overboard with certain things because I just think some things are pricing wise just like crazy now. Like I wouldn't want to spend what it costs to have things look a certain way. Like let's figure out another way to do it, that kind of thing. But
go out, pick all the flowers.
Yeah, we're gonna go hand harvest all the flowers for sure.
That was really good.
What?
I thought you were being serious for a second. I was like,
But yeah, we think a minimum of like a year. And a lot of people ask like what time of year. Definitely not summer, way too hot. Last thing I want to do is be sweaty and smelly in my own wedding. And should we tell them what we're thinking day-wise, or should we just like not?
I think just wait and see.
Wait and see, yeah. So ideally sometime maybe like winterish, but you never know because it depends on venue availability, which I need to like actually look into ASAP Rocky. Okay, last one. Griffin, was it hard planning the engagement without Abby knowing?
I'd say it was very stressful. Because
I'm an intuitive person.
And the thing, because like, obviously I am very open, and it's hard to like when I would come home and be stressing about like someone texting me like that I like invited to be there, and I could see myself like I was very stressed the fact because like I didn't want it to look like I'm like being like sketchy or like hiding my phone, stuff like that. I would always put my phone just face down. Like that was like the only thing.
I mean, I didn't even pick up on that, but I think like I don't know. I think that just like the way you already are, like with your phone, it didn't like. Nothing ever seemed out of the ordinary because he's the type to like leave his phone somewhere and just like forget about it and like not be on it. Like you didn't even pick your phone up until like probably 1 o'clock today because it was just dead all night and then we needed to plug it in. So like that type of thing, like that's very normal for him. So there was never a time when I was like skeptical of it, and thankfully we're not in the car together a lot because I think that would have ruined it.
Every time I got in the car, I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb.
See, that's smart.
Yeah, because we both have Apple CarPlay.
So that's the thing, because we are never in the car together just because I work from home, he works in person. We don't go out. Like if we're going somewhere together on the weekends, it's Ubering or we're staying here.
Yeah.
And if we're going to like restaurants or something, it's like I feel like I usually drive to that kind of thing just because of parking. It's easier to park my car than his truck. So you just got really lucky in the sense that like the logistics of us being in your truck together at the same time, we probably were only in your truck together 3 times over the last 3 months. So it works out in that sense of I never had to like see like, or I never saw like a message pop up on Apple CarPlay like from my friend Logan or Megan, and I'd be like, why is he texting them? Like, what's going on? Is something gonna happen soon? Like, didn't have to worry about that. But that's all we're gonna answer because this video has gotten long as heck, and we have some football to watch. Roll Tide.
We do.
Horns down. roll tide. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. I mean, especially those of you who have been here since the beginning, since the Vlogmas truck Q&A.
That was
in
a time.
2017.
That was a time.
Yeah, thanks for being here all this time.
Yeah.
But we love y'all and so excited to share more wedding content, wedding planning content, and everything like that. But thank you for watching.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below.
Yeah, say hey.
We didn't plan that.
No, we didn't. Ow.
Yep, that's how I feel.
I'm old.
But yes, we do love you guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.